All right, y'all, tonight we have our guest timer. You saw in my email, Connor Lewing. Connor is a friend that I only met you a few months ago, I guess. Well, in Alabama.
Yeah, the classic. The classic.
I saw Connor's name there, and I walked up to Connor and I said, Connor, I'm so glad you're coming this summer to tie the Flugenzombie for us. He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, Chris Williams said you were coming to tie the Flugenzombie. He said, okay, let's go talk to Chris. So we went and talked to Chris and worked it out, and it was a text message cross-up a little bit or something there. But anyway, Connor is an outstanding tyer and teacher of fly tying. He was the fishing manager for the Orvis store before it closed in Baton Rouge, and now is creating a fishing program at a bird camp north of Orvis North Lodge.
Correct. It's called Covey Rise Lodge, like a quail covey. And we do chucker, quail, pheasant, and duck hunts, but we're starting to dabble in fishing a little bit. So,
And where is that located?
in Husser, Louisiana, just north of Hammond.
Okay. And Connor is the tie we're going to fly tonight. Works right here. Is the Flugenzombie from the guys at Fly Fish Food. And this is what, so do you use this in the GAR tournament this year?
I did. This exact version of that fly won the GAR tournament in
The
Cold
Golden
River.
GAR tournament that some of you have heard about that Jim and I fished, and we're fishing again this year once we get down there. And this fly has incredible action in the water. I mean, it's like a live fish swimming in the water when you pull it through the water. I mean, it looks bushy and unruly here, but it gets in the water, it streams out, and just look, it is an outstanding looking fly. And I probably hooked, didn't say landed, probably hooked 20 gar on it. Wow. Overall on this same version of this fly. And I don't know if it was you or Brian Roberts, one of y'all told us to use black and white there, so it seems to work fine. But you could tie this chartreuse and white, of course. I fished that some and caught a couple. Any color you like, sizes, it would size down pretty well with this saddle hackle, or even up some. So,
It's debatable whether they're reusable.
yeah.
I didn't change flies during the
I
whole.
got one got massacred.
Yeah.
I fished all day with one copy of it there.
Probably depends on who made it.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, it depends on who tied it.
Yeah.
Who tied it.
Depends on the guard kids at all.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it really depends on how much super glue you use.
So with that, I'll quit talking and let Connor get started. He can explain it all and get us rolling with it.
Yeah. You were talking about sizing it up. I've sized it up to a 2/0 in the front and a 1/0 in the back, and thrown it at Jack Creval, and they'll eat it too. So if you want to test it in salt water, it tends to work. I love this fly because it looks great in the water, fish like it, but this complex twist in this material we're going to do is a really versatile technique, and I've taken it into a lot of other patterns, and it's something really cool. So we'll come out with a pretty cool fly at the end of this. It is a little bushy till you get it in the water, but that technique's really the best take home from this whole process. It's one of the cooler things I've learned in a long time. But without further ado, let's tie a Flugenzombie.
I don't know, I can't hear words.
Am I too quiet?
Yeah, I'm hard of hearing, it's not your fault.
Oh, you're good.
Thought we had a mic or something.
Well, it is, but it's for the online.
Not for us old folks.
I'll speak up. I thought the mic was for you guys too.
Bill, are we on Zoom?
Yes,
Can you help me get on that on my phone? I've got my earbud, I can listen
if
through
you got
that.
your earbud, yeah.
Oh, it'll be a little delayed.
Maybe a little delayed, but you don't hear it. I'll really get you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, he's got hair clipping. I don't know. I told him I need that.
I've got 3 of them.
Got it on YouTube, but we won't run live yet tonight.
What thread?
So I'm running 210. I like beefy saltwater thread. I tie a lot of redfish stuff. It's the black I had in my bobbin, so we're rolling with that. 140 would probably do just fine. We do cover up a lot of material here though, and we're tying a fly for gar, so I figured bigger's probably not bad.
What about GSP?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Little super glue to coat your eyes just to keep them from spinning, but other than that, it should be fine. Just like anything, we're going to start a thread base on our hook to get a solid foundation. One of the cooler techniques I've been taught by mentors in tying is when you start your thread, there's a little gap right here that I left in front of the hook. I'm gonna leave that as parameters. And if you never tie past this thread base that we lay down initially, you'll never overcrowd your hook. So when I lay my initial thread base, I'm gonna mark where I'm tying on this hook, and I'm not gonna go past it until I whip finish. And that tends to kind of solve that tried and true problem we run into the first time we're tying a pattern of overstacking that head, which will actually be the middle of this fly. So we're gonna start our thread base, just a nice solid foundation, back to where the bend starts. We've got some super nice marabou feathers today. With this nice quality stuff to tie in the tail, I'm actually gonna trim the pieces I'm using off of the sides of this quill. And there's two ways you can go about it. You can take your fingers and lay it in front of the camera, kind of diagonal across it or straight across that stem and cut that chunk out, or you can fold them both back. I'm not that dexterous. I'm just gonna take a chunk and tie it in, and if I need to do a little more, I can always add it. But I like this method where I'm taking my fingers and just kind of grabbing a chunk like that, and then I can bunch it together. You can also pull it off the stem if you like. I found this is a little easier for me to manage and keep everything straight to kind of get that consistent tail. I'm just gonna take it, trim up that feather, give me a little chunk of marabou.
Went away. Oh, well.
And then once I do that, I kind of grab from the bottom of it there. Give me a nice little bunch. And once I've got that little bunch, I'm gonna measure it. I like to do about a hook shank length, maybe a little bit longer. I don't think you need a crazy big tail here. The front of this fly is gonna be pretty bulky, so we don't wanna add a rudder back there. We wanna let that back end kind of swim. So that's a good little chunk. Tie it in here. And I like to do a pinch grip here, so I'm gonna throw this thread back in between my index finger and my thumb and hold on to it to make that round so it doesn't spin on the hook. And then you can add some pressure. I like to get a good 2 or 3 wraps in front, or on top of, and then one in front. Trim this little section out. We're gonna have a nice little trash pile by the end of this fly. And then I'll just cover up those spare ends. Now, if you feel like you got a little short on your marabou, you can always add another stack of white in here. I think I grabbed plenty on this one. The one I tied last night, I ended up adding 2 stacks. This kind of pinch method of pulling off the marabou, it's a little hard to judge at first how much you're getting. So normally by the 3rd or 4th one of these I've tied, I get it down pretty perfect. I just got lucky here. For this example, we're doing white under black or black over white, however you want to look at that. So the next portion of the tail we're going to tie in is another chunk of marabou, but we're going to take our black marabou feather. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take that kind of group with my finger, cut a little chunk out. Grab those ends. Preen it out a little bit. But same process, lay it on top. I like to get them pretty close to even. Doesn't have to be perfect here. Same thing, I'm going to use that pinch grip so I can apply some good tension there. Tie in that black and just cover up those ends to give us a smooth little transition to our next step. Not too fast.
No. Didn't turn the hook loose like you did those. Are you going to fish yours with the hooks opposing?
It was a different fly.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I mean, you could do that with this too, but
I'm sure you could. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
it's kind of cool.
I'm curious I'm supposed to go test it with Chase on Saturday in the canals, so I'll let you know how we do.
What size hook are we using?
I guess I should have covered that. We're using a number 2 B10S. I've gone up to 2/0. I've actually tied them really little as well, using like some dry fly hackle to do the complex twist stuff. You can really kind of tailor this fly to what you want to do based off of your marabou lengths and just selecting the right hackle. For gar, I think this is a pretty good size. If you got into like a giant alligator gar, might be a little small. But who knows? All right, this next step is kind of crazy. Just bear with me for a second. We're gonna get through it. We're tying in 3 pieces of material that we're gonna palmer, but we're gonna twist them together. I know it sounds wild, just follow me here. And I've found it doesn't matter what order you do this in, tying them in. I'm going to go with my smaller of the 2 hackles that I was given. And it doesn't really matter, but just to add more bulk to the front, I'm gonna do the smaller 2 in the back. And we're gonna tie in a piece of palmer chenille as well. But I'm gonna start with my black feather, pick whichever one you like, and kind of preen this stuff back out of my way to give me a good tie-in point. And I like to wet that feather tip. Just makes it easier to grab everything you're trying to grab. I'm gonna lay it on the side of the hook. Tying in the tip.
You're tying in on top of where we finished the marabou?
Correct, just shortly there in front of it. We're gonna palmer from there all the way up to almost the eye where we laid down those parameters.
So should they both be the same length?
They don't have to be. We're gonna spin them up in a minute. You're gonna have some left over.
Can you kind of hold the feather up?
Absolutely.
Okay, there we go.
So I'm tied in at the tip there, and I've just got it preened back.
Just the black one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the white one next. Yeah, it doesn't matter what order you tie this stuff in. I've tied it every way you could try it, and it hasn't made a difference.
So you end up with your tie-in point kind of at the base, and what you tie back to the base of the 2 feathers you just tied in, right?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. All 3 of these items are gonna be pointing backwards on our hook, right at the base of that marabou. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie in the white one, same deal, just wet that feather tip.
On the side too?
If you're more comfortable on the top, that's fine. I like to tie it in on the side, but it's just habitual. I don't think it really matters. We're gonna twist it and palmer it forward almost like you would a brush. Yep, so our third piece of this puzzle is gonna be this palmer chenille. And I think Cheech, the guy who invented this fly, says this in his video. Just bear with it. It's going to be a mess for a little while. I promise it'll work out. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to tie this piece of Palmer chenille in just right up against those feathers. I found with stuff like this, it's easiest to take a couple of those little pieces out of the end and expose that white kind of thread core there. And we're going to do the same thing. Just lay it on the side of the hook. Get some good thread wraps on it. And from here, I'm just going to lay a base over those feathers I tied in, that chenille, just kind of wrap everything forward, give us a solid foundation to palmer on. And I'm going to end it right at the end of those parameters. That's where I'm going to try to catch this stuff.
Bring your thread forward and pause.
Correct. And we'll let everybody get caught up and then get to the crazy side of this. Somebody asked earlier about if we were tying it in from the tips. Reasoning for that is, as we go further down this feather, as we palmer it forward, you're going to get more bulk and longer fibers. So if we're trying to create that fish or bait fish profile, we'll have a skinnier base of the tail and it'll slowly work itself up.
Yeah, I can follow that.
Okay.
Grab all three of them, we stay on top.
Is everybody with me?
Where are you? Is you ready to wrap?
I'm about to make a mess is what I'm
Okay,
about
so
to
we
do.
need to go ahead and grab everything, huh?
Correct. So we're going to grab, and I'll do this up so the camera can see it. We're going to grab our black saddle hackle feather, our white, and our Palmer chenille. And we're going to try to get all those cores lined up together.
Can you trim all three of those off so that it makes it easier, or is it, they'll leave less to hold on to?
You can. It's just going to shorten your working material.
Yeah.
So totally optional there. I just leave mine long. I've accepted this fly is messy and I'm just going to deal with it. I'm going to take, this is a dubbing spinner that's got a little hook kind of grip on it. I'm just going to grab all three of those things. Kind of weird doing this holding it up. I guess you couldn't see me anyways. Like that. And we're going to take them and we're going to spin this stuff up. So just a twist. And I've found that if you try to spin it up really fast and don't comb it out, it turns into a mess. So I just give it a few twists and I'll take a makeup brush thing I stole from my wife and kind of preen that out a little bit. And then I'll give it a couple more twists. You've essentially just made the easiest dubbing loop you'll ever make in your life.
Yeah. It's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna wear a lot of it.
Yeah, you might go home with a little bit of confetti on you. I've tried this with feathers, all kinds of different synthetics. You can really mix and match and choose your materials with this technique, and it's pretty versatile. So once you've got this loop, all we're doing is palmering forward. You can use your rotary vise function if you have a rotary vise. Since I'm demonstrating this, I'm just going to wrap it with my hands so somebody using a standard vise can see how to do it that way. You can be as orderly and neat about this as you would like, or you can just brush it out at the end. I've found it's easiest to just kind of brush it out at the end, but we're just gonna palmer this up to our thread. It doesn't have to be super, super tight palmering wraps in terms of how close they're touching. There's a lot of material here, so you can cover a lot of body without using, you know, a ton of wraps. But we're just gonna move it forward.
Suitably messy.
Almost got enough left for the front.
Pretty close.
And try it that one.
It's kind of hard to tie it in when it's already twisted up, though, is the only problem there.
That's true.
Try to get one more right here at the head. And then working with feathers, I've always found it's easiest to wet my fingers a little bit and preen those fibers back. And it makes it a little easier to catch them with your thread up here. I like to get 2 solid wraps on that feather, and then I'll take my hands and pull everything back like this, and get 2 solid wraps in front, maybe 4. And then I'll trim that out. And since I wasn't super orderly, I'm going to take my little makeup brush thing and just kind of work this out a little bit, get all those trapped under fibers out of there. And at this point, we've tied a really complicated woolly bugger, but it's a pretty one. And I'm just going to build a little thread head here, nothing crazy. And we're going to whip finish this front section of, or the tail section of this fly, and we're about halfway done now. I'm going to hit 2 whip finishes just since we're dealing with toothy critters, or could be. And if you like using head cement or any sort of UV resin or anything along those lines, throw it on there now. The good news is if you made it through that, the next one's going to be pretty similar. Not a whole lot of difference. We're just going to pretty it up a tad.
And put eyeballs on it.
Some eyeballs, some rubber legs, a little dubbing head, but
Like OVP stuff, and I've got some harvest things I just did for the super. Just know that one.
You clipped your thread off, didn't you?
I did. We're whip finished. We're done with this portion of the fly, this hook.
So do you prefer super glue or UV resin?
It depends on the application.
Okay.
For finishing heads, UV resin. For something I'm trying to make stay in place, super glue.
Okay.
But honestly, I don't think it really matters either way with the heads. If you want to do super glue, that's fine. I've just noticed it makes kind of like a cloudy head, and I tie a lot of production flies, and
Okay.
I think this looks better for us as fishermen. Do the fish care? No.
The fish rejected it because it didn't have UV resin on it.
Right. Or it was missing a rubber leg or something like that. I don't think they're counting very often.
All right, we popped this one out of our vise.
You can pop it out. I like to go ahead and stick the articulation wire through while the hook's in place. It just kind of gives you one less thing to deal with.
Okay.
I was just kind of letting everybody catch up.
That would catch something.
So that's where this technique started. He was tying a woolly bugger with this, and he does a cone head on it and a little dubbing collar, and it's called a complex twist bugger. And then he did exactly what I would have done and tried to make it into something giant and ridiculous for no reason at all. Yeah. Yeah.
This happened last month.
I've seen much.
See?
You must have a small one.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's smaller than this one.
Yeah, that's too small.
Oh, really?
So would you try this with EP5?
For which portion?
I've got like a brush. Could you make an EP brush with that?
You could make a brush. I don't know if I would use EP fibers. Not for this application at least. I think it'd be too stiff in the water. But if you were using it to make like a crab body or something, I think it'd be perfect, yeah.
What is he, craft from? Rico Blue Sea brand.
Oh.
It's like a stiff synthetic fiber you use to sculpt profiles more so than to gain movement.
So this is, oh, this is, yeah, the stuff you.
Yeah, but like, yeah, you could take two brushes and spin them together and like, yeah. It's just gonna be a pretty heavy core, but that would probably solve the problem of having to add weight.
It's just a pretty easy.
When you're a goober with your hands.
Yeah.
That's, I'm trying to think of something anyway.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's trying to think simple.
A lot of those different Palmer chenilles or Estas or Polar chenille, I've mixed a bunch of different versions of those up and spun it up and made stuff. Schlappen feathers are probably my favorite thing. I think they look great and stuff like this. On one this size though, I think the saddle hackle is the way to go. Just Schlappen can be a little long and bulky, and we can keep this in like a 7-8 weight castable range. When you step up to that Schlappen and one up a hook size and more marabou and stuff, it tends to get a little heavy. Swim's great, just a little heavy. All right, everybody with me? Caught up? Okay, so I'm going to now run the articulation wire through here. I like to leave it in the vise, it just makes it a little easier. And I'll go ahead and drop my two beads on.
Clear beads.
They are clear beads. You can use whatever beads you want. I've used all kinds of stuff. I don't think it particularly matters. It's more about spacing for us. And I'm just...
These are clear beads.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really doesn't matter. There's that girl that's on all the social media stuff, she ties flies, she uses glass, crazy, super fancy beads. Yeah, does the fink with the hook.
Video and it looks like a stripper.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
That's one you talking
yeah. Yeah.
Not that I've ever been to a place where it's like that.
Well, I assumed, yeah.
So you put the beads on, you took the wire and went up with it, and then put the beads over two pieces of the wire?
You can do it over one or two, whatever's easiest for you to thread it on there. At the end, you want it over both, but I ran the wire up, dropped the beads on the top side, and then ran the bottom section of the wire through the beads. We're just trying to get them on there, though.
Andrew's up.
And now we can move our other hook into the vise.
So what, did you twist that wire or anything to make the beads stay on, or?
Nope,
I'm doing that.
I just pulled them out. We're gonna tie it in place where they will stay on, so if they're coming off, we'll fix that very shortly.
Oh, we'll take that out now.
Yeah, we can take it out, get the other hook in, and we're gonna do the same deal here where we lay down our thread parameters. I am gonna go a little further down the bend of the hook than I normally would though. It just gives us a good base for articulating this fly or joining the two hooks.
You pull your wire.
Yes.
So we're just looking for a good thread base here.
You want about a third through your bend?
About a third, I'd say, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so past the barb, if we're looking at it that way. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to go a little past that bend. If it's straight off the back of the hook like this, they tend to foul a little more. If you can get it down and use those beads as spacing, it tends to hold it away from fouling as much. I did not say it will never foul, but it's less likely to. And then I worked my thread up about to where we would normally start or stop tying on the back of the hook near that bend. I found it's easiest to capture these wires here, get a couple wraps on them, and then we can adjust them so it's riding right, and then really crank down on the pressure moving up and back. And I'll show you another trick to keep them from fouling as bad. But what I'm gonna do is take this whole section we've tied, I'm gonna get those beads fairly close to our hook eye, and I'm gonna lay this on top of the hook.
Don't stick yourself.
Hook point down, correct. I found if you hold those beads as opposed to the hook, it's a little easier to grab onto the whole package. And I'm just gonna get a couple loose wraps here. And now we have the opportunity with those loose wraps, we can pull this back if we need to, we can manipulate it forward and really get our, excuse me, get our placement right. And so I kind of want those beads landing about there, about to the end of where we tied that thread is our base earlier. Make sure my wires are on top of my hook, and I'm going to slowly start to work that forward.
How far do you leave your loop valve back behind it? Pull it up pretty tight.
I would say it's about 3/8 of an inch or so. Pretty good little section back there. I'm going to leave enough room to where I can work it down to where our thread, or we laid that thread base.
You're talking about the loop itself?
Yeah.
Oh, the loop itself is pretty small. Just cinch it up until those beads are pretty close to the front. I don't think that has to be exact. The bigger the loop, the more movement you're going to get. You just don't want it huge so that the hook fouls. So once we lay that articulation wire on there, kind of got a good base, I'm going to wrap up pretty close to the front there. I'm going to go ahead and clip these off. I've found it makes it a little easier transition if you clip one and then leave the next one a little bit longer. Now, if I was tying this for salt water, I would have a little different procedure here. I'd probably take a longer section of articulated wire and run it all the way up through the eye of my hook and fold it back on itself. With what we're doing here, I think we're going to be fine with just tight thread wraps, and I'm going to show you a way to lock it in here in the back. But I cut them 2 different lengths. It just gives the front of that body a little more taper, and there's not an abrupt hard edge where we cut those 2 wires off. Nope.
How far, gonna make the use of that?
Now, somebody was asking if you double it back. You can, if you're more comfortable with that. I've found that my tippet's more likely to break than these are to pull out on me. Now, granted, I've tied a ton of articulated flies, gotten pretty confident with that method. A lot of the guides on the White River for big brown trout, they use monofilament. They don't double it over, and their articulation's about 1 inch long, the whole thing. I've got a lot of confidence in this, and we'll lock it down here in the back. So once you've got that covered up in the front, I'm going to work my way back. Get close to those beads. Here, does anybody else need them? Yeah, don't use your scissors on articulation wire. You'll regret that.
Just bid it on?
Yeah.
How far do you tie it in? That's right.
You got it?
What was that? I thought somebody asked something. Okay, once we get here, I'm going to take my thread and I'm actually going to go up underneath this whole arrangement, kind of pull up past those beads, and then I'm going to wrap back down. You're just getting a wrap underneath it. That'll help it from pulling out, and it prevents it from fouling as bad. One wrap under it, couple in front. I do that normally about 3 times. And so that'll give us a pretty firm base there, but it prevents it from pulling out. So your thread's going to go around your hook, under your bead apparatus, this whole articulation like this. Pull tight, and then get a couple wraps in front. If you're worried about your thread tension, you can absolutely throw some super glue on here. I would just recommend using the gel super glue because otherwise you're going to be waiting a minute. We're about to do the complex twist and some marabou and stuff, and it might turn into a mess. So if you want to super glue it, go for it. I'm going to skip it for now. If I was tying a batch of these, I'd probably hit them all with a little super glue or something as I was articulating them together and then go back and tie the rest of the fly. But for our time's sake, we're just going to roll for it.
It's time for us to.
That's close. It's off to the side. Those beads.
What was the next thing after you go up under there?
You just take a couple wraps on top of it again.
Okay.
We're to a stopping point now. I was just letting everybody get their articulation worked out.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And these cute little barrettes or whatever they're called, they make a great hook holder if your vise doesn't have one. If you want to keep this back out of your way.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, my wife has noticed a handful of her things missing in my fly tying materials, and I've told her like once they're here, they're mine. Like I can't return them.
She may not want the mascara brush.
Absolutely not. There is.
Go in the store and buy them yourself. It was bad. Buy mascara,
Yeah, but they look at it.
I don't know what aisle those are on.
hard as nails.
I'm fine buying hard as nails. I know how to find that. The other stuff, I wouldn't even know where to find it.
Send her
Yeah.
Go to the store and say, my wife told me.
Yeah.
And they'll take you right to it.
Amazon is gender neutral.
The guy dropping it off will never see me.
No, it's a box. That's all he knows.
Her fingernail inflection is wrong dramatically.
And then once we've got that articulation kind of in place, I know it looks weird, but I'm going to leave a little gap right here in my thread probably about the length of those beads. Just get us back up to our normal tying point at the start of that bend. You're not going to see that with what we're about to tie over it. I just wanted a really secure base there so we don't have to worry about anything pulling out. We don't have to double up wire. But yeah, from here, we're essentially going to tie the fly we've already tied. I like to tie in this marabou section, and then I'm going to work up here back to the front. I'm going to tie in that eye so we have our parameters that we're working with for the body, and then we'll go back into the complex twist. So we're going to go back to the marabou step. I'm going to do the same thing. I've got a pretty good chunk of marabou left on this feather. I'm just going to use it, but I'm going to take the other side.
About the same length as our hook shank again?
A little bit shorter. We really want it to stop about right here. We don't want it to go too far into that back hook where there's things that can get caught up. We're just trying to cover this gap here.
Gotcha.
Is all the function it's really serving. And because it's marabou, it's obviously going to give us some movement. But the main portion of this is just to cover up where our hooks are joined. So we'll start with white. I'm going to use that same method where I'm just cutting off the side of the feather. And then pinching those ends. And I've got some that are a lot longer than the others. Once I tie that in, I'll address it. I'm just going to break them off, but we want to kind of measure the bulk of that feather. About a hook shake length, that's probably good. And lay it on, and we're going to tie it in the same way we did the tail, just right on top of that hook shank. Get some solid wraps on it. I made a mess right here. We're going to trim that little section. And I'm a tad OCD, so I'll clean this up, but you don't have to.
You tie this in right at the hook, on the hook?
I have it about at the barb,
Okay, so.
but yeah. And I just broke off those little longer sections of feather of marabou I had kind of tailing off. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Like I said, I just got a touch of the OCD in me, so I had to clean it up.
My man. Then we put the black on it.
Exactly. We're going to do the same exact step, just with the black marabou right on top.
Let's try to do a better job this time. We want them to match.
This is the only time a fly look like that. It gets wet, it never looks exactly.
You'd be surprised. They actually dry out and stand right on back up. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, I've had a hair dryer work on that.
If you take an old toothbrush and bring it in your boat bag, you can really prune them up pretty good. And we're going to do the same thing here. Just lay it on top of that little patch of white we have.
We want to eat fish.
I want fish. I don't want picky fish. That's all I catch is the donuts.
Yeah, I got that feeling.
Yeah, I took down my flies for it. I don't want one who's real big.
I figure if I caught him, he must be done.
Fish to kick out of school.
Fish that got kicked out of school. It's good.
Yeah.
And once I get those little tufts of marabou tied in, or stacks of marabou, I'm going to work my thread back up towards the hook eye. I like to go ahead and tie in our lead eye at this point. And I'll show you the way I like to measure this to give me enough room. I feel like everybody kind of has their own method with these little barbell eyes, but I like to lay the eye itself on top of the hook eye like that and get my thread about at the edge of that eye. I think that's a good proportion to tie in. I like having that much room to build my head, and I like leaving that little space I've left myself to finish the fly. So I lay that on top to measure. I guess it'd be better in this case to flip it over.
Are you measuring from the end of the far end of the eye?
Correct. I'm setting the widest portion of that lead eye's edge just on top of that lead eye.
Yep.
And it's a pretty good spot to measure. And there's a lot of different techniques for tying in these eyes.
Oh, you're putting it on the bottom.
We are putting this one on the bottom, so this is going to ride hook point down.
Gotcha.
This is one of the only things you will ever see me tie where the hook eye is on the bottom. I like them on the top. I like to invert them, but this fly swims so good like this.
I just tie them on top because they always roll over the bottom anyway, then I turn it over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done it that way. I tend to lean more towards my tried and true method. So I like to do 5 pretty tight wraps, one direction, turn the eye back where you want it to be with your other hand, get 5 really good wraps in there. And then we're just gonna lay wraps down. I'm using some wax thread, so I am gonna throw a little dab of gel super glue here to help me lock it in and keep it from spinning as bad. I said a dab and I just dumped a dollop on there. Yeah, a lot of dab here. I'll go ahead and hit some on that side since I poured so much out. And at this point, I like to kind of, with the rotary vise, I like to turn it where I can look at the angle of what I'm doing here. So I'll turn it up sideways. And get about 5 good wraps on each side. And then we'll do the wraps, tightening those X wraps. If you just go around the eyes like this, you can really lock them in. Hit another couple just for good measure. Are these large lead eyes?
Medium.
Medium, okay.
I think so, Tom.
They're not large, Bill.
Yeah, that may be large. I ordered them in December, so I don't know. Yes, these are large.
I tied the one I did last night with eyeballs, which are a little different. I was just curious. I like this style dumbbell eye better than the eyeballs personally. The original pattern calls for the eyeballs. They've got a longer shank in between the 2 eyes, and unless you double that wire over and make a really hefty base on the hook, they tend to want to twist and turn on you a little bit. So if it was me, I would pick this out. If you want a lighter one, you can do medium. If you want to add some weight to it, you can always put a little lead wrap or non-toxic wire wrap on your hook shank, kind of beef it up. But fishing the Gar tournament last year, I was running a 300 grain sink tip line and a full intermediate line. So I was controlling my depth more so with the line weight than I was the actual eye. And a lot of streamers tend to work that way, but I think a large is a pretty good spot here. Okay, we're going to go back to our friend, the complex twist. Now on this one, we're not going to go nearly as long. I'm going to stop it about midway between where we tied in that marabou here and the eye. So somewhere in this area, we're just looking for 3-4 solid wraps of our twist. We're going to tie in both the schlappen feathers as well as our Palmer chenille, get it twisted up like a dubbing brush almost, and then, or a dubbing loop, and then roll with it.
But we don't have schlappen feathers.
I'm sorry, saddle hackle.
Yeah, really?
You know what I meant, chicken feathers.
That's right.
And I'm gonna do it the same way, just wet that little tip section.
So you're tying all of the feathers on the same side together?
I am. I just feel like it makes it easier to twist them that way.
Oh, that's fine.
And the reason I tie them on this side is because it's the easiest side for me to see
Oh, no,
and to
it's
reach.
not.
Yeah.
Good with all that.
I've lost my scissors. Yeah, it doesn't matter which color you do first. We're gonna twist it all up like before, so it really isn't a big deal. I've tied them for No Wake Outfitters in a few different colors and done 6 at a time, and every one I'm pretty sure I laid them in a different order and you couldn't tell the difference after you've spun it all up.
So do you tie a fly from the beginning to the end, or do you tie them in stages?
Depends on the fly. If I was gonna make 6 of these, I would do 6 tails, then I would do 6 articulations, and then I would do 6 heads. If it's just like a shrimp pattern, I'd tie the whole thing. Unless there's a spot where you really have to stop and move things out of the vise, I don't see a reason to change. Unless you're like waiting on glue to dry or paint or something like that. But I went to culinary school. I was a chef in my past life. I do get all my materials laid out for everything I'm doing in that sitting before I start. And I feel like that makes it just go so much faster because I'm just pulling my feathers out of my little station, rolling on to the next step. When you have to stop and do this and grab that, you tend to forget rubber legs and things along those lines. Or at least I do. It's just how I operate best.
I'm just thinking about Cook's Country and the way they put everything out like that.
Yeah, the word for it is mise en place, everything in its place. And so that is one thing I took from my past life and brought into fly tying. And I'm just gonna cover this stuff up. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna wrap stuff all over this hook shank. And I'm really trying to catch it about at the midway point between where we've tied that stuff in to our eyes. I'm gonna stop about right there. We'll see what it looks like. And a cool little tool, I think he uses this in the video. It's like a gator grip twisting that goes on a dubbing spinner. Those work really well. The little hackle pliers we're using work well. This is just typically what I'm using for dubbing loops, so I use this guy, but something you can grab onto, it's a good choice.
How many turns did we need to take? About 3?
I'm gonna do about 3 or 4, just try to get to that midway point, because from here we're gonna palmer in some marabou and we're gonna tie legs in and a laser dub head. So we need a little bit of working space. I'm gonna use up about half the room between our marabou puffs in the back, or tufts, and the rest of my hook shank. Same thing here, we're just gonna twist this guy up. When I first started tying these, I was concerned about the strength of the core here, twisting up these feather quills and this synthetic stuff, and it's actually surprisingly pretty dang tough.
So, yeah.
About midway between
Okay.
I'm gonna palmer this forward, just like we did the last time. I'll tell you how many wraps I get. And that complex twist makes a really cool like underbody for a gurgler. It works out pretty good. It's a cool little technique. So I got about 4 wraps here. I might have been a little ambitious there. And with this mess of fibers you make, if you wet your fingers and kind of preen everything back, it tends to make finding your core there and tying it in a little simpler. And you might kind of have some haters or strays sticking forward.
Take those black and white feathers.
And I've got all these little strays kind of sticking up front. That's fine. Just wet your fingers, pull them back, get a thread wrap or 2 in front of them.
Right behind your eye.
You stop just behind the eye.
Just put that in there for insurance. Best way to do it. Let's say you have your son. Go about halfway.
We're fixing to put marabou on it, but we're going to do it in a different way. Is everybody caught up with me?
Almost.
Almost?
Almost.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Who did?
See what marabou, Bill bought that. Golden Mills.
Yeah.
I have trouble finding
This is good, this is the best packages I've
I
seen.
know.
There's only.
And I want to do it all at once, I'm donating.
Well, that's what I switched to Fully Mills Marabou about a year ago now. We sold it at Orvis, and I got a pack one day, and I was like, I'm done with everything else.
Is that Marabou Brothers stuff? Isn't any better than the other?
I haven't used it before.
I was disappointed.
The Fully Mills Rabbit Zonker strips are incredible. Like, they are so consistent, it is crazy. And they come in a big flat package, so like they're not all kinked up and
I
weird.
said, well, about this stuff, I said, I need some more, I'm trying to go to bead chains.
Yeah.
He said, Jim, just go to bead chains, and you get this big spool. I said, man, I ain't never gonna use it.
No, that's a ton of it.
Eat that, David, the way it was. I don't eat that, man, just eat about it.
Alrighty, guys. Next up, we're gonna put in some more marabou, but we're gonna do it a little different way. We're gonna palmer it in. So what I like to do is take this feather, grab the tip, And I'll kind of take this whole little crown section that's like a fan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna wet that.
Can't see it.
Down just a little bit.
Come down a little bit. No, there you go. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna wet that, kind of make a good tie-in point. I'm gonna trim this section off. I think in the video he folds it back. I've noticed that my sections, when I fold them back like that, never lay perfectly flat. That's probably on me as a tire, but I'm just gonna cut them off so you'll never know they were there.
How long a piece, how far down the shaft do we go?
I'm just looking for a good piece of the quill here. You don't need to go super far. It looks like a lot since it's wet, but it's really not much.
Give it a little spit.
Yeah.
Straightens out.
It makes it a little easier to deal with. So I'm gonna trim out this top little section. And that little triangle I've made here, a little point like that, is gonna be a good tie-in point. So I'm gonna tie in that marabou right there where we stopped our complex twist.
Sorry, I missed that. I don't know what you did.
So he laid his.
So you tie that whole big piece of,
It's just laid on the back. We're gonna palmer it around the hook.
The tip that you wet, you trimmed it?
I trimmed it. I was just looking for an easy point that I could lay on the hook shank and tie in without something that's gonna be super,
But it should have
Unruly.
some of the stem in it. Huh?
correct. You wanna capture that stem. That's the only part you really need. Just leaving that little triangle gives my thread something to grab onto.
lift up the back end of it. Okay, you can palmer that whole thing in there?
I'm gonna tie in a piece of black and we're gonna palmer them together in.
Nice.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I didn't hold it.
We needed a challenge.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Pretend you understand.
After this, we're almost in the free and clear.
Almost.
And I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna take my black feather, and you can tie this in however you want to. I've just found it's easiest for me to kind of preen this feather up and give myself something with a little meat on it to grab in terms of the quill size. And I feel like cutting that off just makes it a little more manageable, a little easier to find that quill.
Makes it easier to break it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're tying this on 14 next, huh? Yeah.
For the front hook, the back one will be a 16. It'll be great.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Won't be trying to use it to catch a day.
Yeah, cranking out a half dozen of these takes a minute.
So what are you selling for?
Depends on the hook.
Oh, okay.
That's where the money is, huh?
It really is, though. When you get into those 2/0 saltwater Umpqua hooks, things start getting pricey. I think they're selling them for $14 at No Wake on the saltwater ones and like 10 or 12 for the freshwater ones. I haven't tied them any freshwater ones in a while, though, so they might be low on those. Okay, and with this, it's going to look like a mess. Just bear with me. And it doesn't matter what order you do the feathers in. You can try to keep them in the same order through our wrapping process. It's really for movement and to build a little bulk here. It doesn't have to be perfect. But we're going to take this, and you've seen me do this with marabou all day, but wet my fingers a little bit, kind of preen this stuff back. And we're going to make about 3 wraps here. And if you don't have enough space to do that, do 2, do 1. We don't want to overcrowd the eye of our hook here. But you can really lay these marabou stems right on top of each other, stack them in pretty tight. You're not going to take up as much room as you'd think.
We don't do the spin here, we're just wrapping.
Correct, we're just palmering, no complex twist here.
We wouldn't be able to find the eyes.
Be some unruly marabou.
Make it back to the eye.
I'm gonna get pretty close to it. I left just a little gap. I'm gonna throw some rubber legs back there. I got 3 wraps in on mine. If you don't have the space to get 3 wraps, stop at 2. Get some marabou on there. I'm gonna try to do the same thing here we've been doing to catch those complex twists. Wet my fingers, find my quill point there, and then try to grab that with my thread. And then if you're tying multiple of these, you can probably use the bottom of these marabou feathers to get your tufts for your next one. Especially with these feathers. They're nice. And I'm just gonna kind of clean that up just a little bit. And the fancy eyeliner or eyelash, whatever brush this is, works really great on marabou. It doesn't tear it up too bad, so I like using them to kind of preen this stuff out. We're getting close to the end here.
Garth thinks that thing is pretty.
It thinks it looks like a big chunk of meat, and I think it's putting off that profile. So here, our next step is going to be rubber legs.
I didn't have it, I guess we don't use this dubbing.
We're almost there.
Here, where I tied in.
Oh my gosh.
That was what makes it look good.
Yeah,
Covers up there.
yeah. You can cover up all your misplaced thread wraps with that dubbing.
Yes, I couldn't back it out.
Funny thing,
Rubber legs.
around, everybody's looks different.
Yeah, oh yeah. Trying to tie these consistently takes a little time.
Oh, yes.
Because you can't see it.
Yeah, it's hidden by the pom-pom we tied in front of it.
Yeah, some 3 times.
But there's techniques here that we can. I call it. There's techniques.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. It just happens to your arsenal.
Yeah, and that was what I was saying at the beginning. That complex twist is the real gem here.
That's cool. You really like that. You use that on top of it.
The underbelly of a gurgler is the coolest thing that I've come up with it. But I've done them on streamers with zonker strips coming over the top of them, and I mean, you could do some cool stuff.
Where do you live?
I live in Prairieville.
Oh, yeah, okay. Down there near that.
Yep. All right, everybody to a good spot. Good as it's gonna get. Now we're gonna add our rubber legs in. I just like to leave the whole clump attached together, and I'm not gonna trim them until the end. It's just easier to work around, in my opinion. However you like to tie in rubber legs works fine. I'll show you the way that I do them here. I always like to go up my bobbin tube, let them get pinched there on the side. I said I was going to leave them together. I just broke that pair. Get a couple wraps there. Fold them over the other side. Get a couple wraps and just work them back.
How many pair of rubber legs?
There's 3 on this, and I said I wasn't going to trim mine. I broke one, so I guess I'll just cut them off there for the sake of it being symmetrical.
You pulled it up, I thought it was catfish.
What's the purpose of the rubber legs, because fish don't have legs, so.
Movement.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, these kind of look like fins on the side, the way the profile comes out.
What is this?
Hold on to the right.
Tight on top?
So I tied them on the side and then folded it over the other side. I really kind of want them on the side of the hook shank to look like fins right here. Honestly, I think it's just a movement deal. I think rubber legs might be more for us as fishermen than they are for the fish, but I've only tied this fly with them, so I can't tell you if it works without them.
That's one of you.
I sent you all that.
How many rubber legs put
It's 3, they kind of double over to be 6. And I trimmed mine because I had a broken one. You can wait till the end if it's easier. Another pretty cool trick with these little hair clippies.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I can take mine here. Three to one side, three to the
Yep, we're to our last step. We've got a couple more little tie-ins and dubbing, and we're about done. Now I have tied these in variations where instead of dealing with the dubbing in the front, I've taken a brush and tied it in and just made a couple wraps behind the eyes, couple in front and combed it back, and you can kind of trim it how you want with synthetics. If that's easier, you can do it. I found with a little practice though, this dubbing head's not terribly difficult. And it's way cheaper, so it's a plus. Is this laser dub?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I think in the original it uses bruiser blends. It doesn't matter, just some kind of acrylic synthetic dubbing, whatever flavor you like or company you're loyal to. But I'm gonna take this and take a nice little pinch. If you think you've got enough, maybe a little bit less. But I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna take these fibers and pull them apart and stack them back together. I'm gonna do that a couple of times to get them lined up, so when we do tie, we're not losing a ton of this dubbing we're tying in to not getting a good hold on it.
How much dubbing are you putting in?
Yeah.
If I pull it tight, half a pencil, a quarter of a pencil, it's not a ton. We're gonna put 2 tufts of black and 2 tufts of white in. So we're gonna tie this one right behind the eyes, and then we'll move forward and tie one right in front of the eyes.
Oh, I can't do that.
If you can't do that, tie one in front of the eyes.
Because I cross mine too much. It's like.
And it's really easy to do with this fly, especially on the first time you're tying it. We're gonna actually tie it in on the top. So I like to take it and get those fibers aligned, and then I'm actually gonna take it and kind of flatten it out. I've found it covers the hook a little better that way if you kind of get that flat fan-like shape there. And I'm gonna lay it in with about 1/3 of it sticking out the back and 2/3 in the front. We're gonna lay it right there, get one kind of gathering loose wrap around it, and then we can pull tight. And I'm gonna crank down and give it 2 good wraps. And once we've captured that, I'm gonna invert my hook. You don't have a rotary vise, you can try to hold it on the bottom. Might be easier to take it out, flip it over. Honestly, I haven't tried to tie one of these on a non-rotary vise. There's a lot of spinning going on. And we're gonna do the same thing with the dubbing here on the bottom. Maybe a little bit less on the bottom. It's hard to give an exact quantity with dubbing, but you do not need a ton to get this head done.
You do the white on the bottom?
Correct. We're gonna switch to white and we're gonna do the same process. And I found it's easier to kind of stack these fibers, get them all aligned, and then pick out how much I want to use. feel like that's a little much. And I'm gonna do the same thing here where I kind of make a little fan just to get coverage of the side, covers up those thread wraps a little bit. We're gonna lay that fan on top here. And same thing, gathering wrap. Kind of fan that out. Yep, basically, kind of a Santa Claus beard. We're gonna pull those two clumps of dubbing we have, and I'll show you how I do it. I like to fan it out a little bit, lay it back, and then just kind of capture in front of it. And I'm gonna hold my thread here, do the same thing with the white, fan it out, and get in front of it. We don't have to worry about pushing it back super far. This next layer we put in of dubbing will kind of help with this process. That was behind the eye. If you don't have room, you can just do one big clump in front of the eye, I guess. And I'm gonna move my thread in front now. Yeah, essentially all we just did was cover up our thread wraps right at that eye where we adhered it to the hook, and this next one will really kind of seal that in. And we're going to do the exact same process here we just did in front of the eye, correct. I'm going to use a little bit more dubbing than I did on the back. I'm always pretty frugal with it on that back section, just so I don't make the head too big, but I can always add more up front here.
I've got a smart build, mine's got a big head.
You've got what?
Mine's smart, it's got a big head.
Yeah, well, it should catch smart fish then, right?
Yeah. It's for dumb fishermen.
Well, the more water it pushes, the further they'll feel it, so.
It's not a Papa John.
That's right. It is far from a copper john.
That's what that man fishes with.
My favorite. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's what I'm joking.
Timu Copper John.
A Timu copper john.
You give that Copper John to me,
Yeah.
And we're gonna do the same deal here. Make our little fan. I like to stick with that 1/3 sticking back, 1/3 forward proportion.
That is usually.
It is, no, I don't have room. Yeah, but this looks okay.
And we tie it off in
I
front
don't
of the
think
guy.
that fish is.
In front of the lead eyes, but we want to make sure to leave enough space to whip finish. So if you don't have the room, I'd call it quits here. If you do have the room, it does add a little bit better profile to this. Kind of lets that head fold behind those eyes. But once again, we're targeting gar here. They're not as selective as most fish, so I think we'll be all right.
They should try to catch one.
Yeah, if you're targeting one, they can be a little persnickety. And then getting the hook set. I think I've caught more gar fishing the carp tournament in New Orleans than I have anywhere else in my entire life. But see a big fish, I can't help but cast to it.
Heck yeah.
My partner's never happy with me about it, but he'll forgive me or he won't. And we're gonna do the same thing with our clump of white. Stack those fibers. Get them everywhere. Invert that fly. Lay about 1/3 facing back. And capture this with our pinch or gathering wrap. Get 2-3 good wraps on it. And we're gonna fold this back the same way.
The Ramstein while we're behind.
There is still a hook in there,
Somewhere.
Ramstein.
I found it.
Well, you're a radio man.
Everybody.
Well, yeah, that's not Air Force Base in Germany, but other than that, I'm lost.
Oh, okay.
Named after the town.
Probably.
All right, and
It's not Air Force Base, is it?
once you tie in that second little clump of dubbing, if you have the room, we're just gonna work back over the top of it so we grab onto it pretty good. I just did about 5 or 6 wraps back over that laser dub. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I can never tie this fly without a few little stragglers up here in the front.
Oh.
Easiest way to fix that.
Ah, lighter, there you go.
Carefully.
Now pull your thread back out of the way.
Flame on.
Yep, just burn the haters away.
Haters.
The guy who made this video calls his little stragglers haters, so I've adopted that. And we're just gonna hit a whip finish here. I like to do 2. I don't know why I got in the habit of doing that, but I've never really changed from it. And if you're like me, you'll acquire more haters because you were a messy tire.
Would you still
I'll hit my haters one more time with my lighter, and then I'm just gonna do a double UV thin finish on the head. If you're a super glue guy, use your super glue. If you trust your whip finish more than I do.
So would you, this, you throw this with a, maybe a 7-weight?
I ran it with an 8 during the carp tournament last year, or the GAR tournament, I'm sorry, last year. I ran it with an 8 because I grabbed the wrong rod. I meant to grab my 10, but this was the smallest thing I planned on throwing that day. I never made it past this fly, but I had some stuff that was like 3 hooks, giant. No reason to be throwing it, but trying to lug that stuff around on an 8 weight all day would have been rough. And I'm just gonna hit it one more time with my resin. And then this laser dub, at least with the way I tie it in, I tend to get pretty bushy.
Oh my gosh.
Just gonna brush it off.
Yeah, I guess it does.
After you brush it.
Yeah, and when you brush it out, I mean, you get a pretty good bit of loose fibers. I kind of overdress the head just a hair in preparation for that. And when you get done, you should have a big-headed minnow. Or a Flugenzombie. But yeah. Was that anybody here's first articulated fly? That is awesome. Now you can do the same thing hooking 2 willy buggers together and you'll be shocked at what you catch. That little bit of movement works great, especially when you're running stuff from upstream down. Tends to do some cool stuff.
2 regular willy buggers?
Pretty much. I'd skip the tail on the back one, but yeah, you can do that. Put a little lead eye in front of it, and I think that's where articulated streamers started.
So would you use both of the same size or the back a little smaller?
You can go either way. When I'm tying them production, I typically do the back hook a little smaller. I just feel like the more weight up front, the more wiggle you'll get out of that tail. Could be in my head, but I feel better about going through a pack of each hooks as opposed to 2 packs of one. I don't know why it makes me feel better.
Good technique for putting the 2 beads.
Yeah. Yeah, the beads are handy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Brian did the video on that one.
Yeah.
With Generals at my CJ Johnson, one of them, he put any beads on.
Yeah.
I gotta have a bead in there, I don't feel like it. I don't know if it makes a difference or not.
It makes a difference to your confidence, so I'd say put the bead on there, is my mindset. I like the beads. I feel like it keeps things separate.
Because that's CJ's on Johnson.
Yeah.
I can't do that, so.
Yeah.
He throw a flyway.
Yeah.
It looks like a bad hair day, you know, you get it. And when I time, I go,
Yeah. They're not crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've been doing a lot of hollow bucktail flies. It's all reverse tied, like the beast fly and stuff, and man, they just like pulse. It's crazy.
Shimmer stuff, the one that, man, my brain's dead. The first stuff we used to use for flash, we put it, it's got all those like little specks in it.
Oh, are you talking about the chenille we were using?
No, I'm talking about on the other flash. Then when you're talking about his pulsate.
Oh, flash.
Going down the side.
Yeah, the crystal flash. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, I was fishing chain pickerel, and I was pulling that thing, like Christmas light on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this works.
Yeah. Now we know why it's here.
That's crazy.
But unless you see clear water, you're going to really good.
Yeah, and clear water flash is the ticket.
But this works right here.
I hooked it work yesterday. I jumped a 6-pound bass on this one. I tied 2 of them. That one's. No, I lost him. I'm teaching kids, so I've been mashing the barbs so nobody wears the fly, and it was on one of those rods.
Tell me what type of fish this is. All right. Right, those are two gar. That's not a gar.
It had the body of a bass. It looked like. Where is this?
Asker shan, salt, brackish water.
Oh, that's a redfish.
They have been huge. I mean, just there they are. Look, one. There's another. There's one over there.
It's a redfish or a black drum. I think it's a redfish.
I'm just trying to figure out how to catch them.
About a 2-aught crab pattern is what I do. I mean,
The flexo crabs or the regular like a.
I do bigger than that.
Okay, bigger.
I do one with a brush. I just kind of trim it to size, but
Connor, thank you.
absolutely.
I enjoyed it very much.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
You guys did great.
Yeah, it's mine roughly resembles yours.
Perfect. Roughly. Mine's a little funky looking, but you turned out all right.
Mine's definitely
Hey, Rob. Matt.
It's all work in motion.
We're going to try, you want to go get any guard.
Comparing?
Yeah, I'm just seeing, it's kind of crazy. Let me see. I got a little crowded up front.
You made it happen, though.
Yeah, I got my eyes to show, so. It'll be
I
okay.
think it'll fish like a champ.
Yeah. Until I tear it up.
If you're tearing up that fly,
Yeah, that's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's real good.
So you worked at Orvis, huh?
I did. I was the fishing manager at the Baton Rouge store.
Disappointed, but
Yeah.
you know, like now they're trying to sell clothes. Well, I'm not going to buy.
Oh no, they're selling less clothes. They cut almost all the clothes out. We were the #1 pants store in the United States.
Really?
And because our sales were more clothing, that's why our sales.
We have to close the store anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to sell more outdoors.
Yeah.
They cut their clothing selection in about half. Now at their stores, like the actual stores that are still open, they have like Cool Brand and some other one they brought in that they're doing to supplement what they had. I don't know. I wish them the best. It was the coolest job I've ever had, but I wish them the best.
Before I moved to Louisiana, I lived in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Fish. I used to be born in Biloxi.
Yeah.
I'm not fishing. Now, like, when I was in high school,
Right.
you know, I was into cars and girls, you know.
Trust me, I get it.
I didn't do much fishing anyway.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you so
I'll tell
much.
you what, that wasn't a beginner class though. That
No,
was like,
definitely not. But you'd be surprised, like,
I mean, you just gotta keep up.
yeah, and I was trying not to go super fast, and like,
They did great.
I was like watching my video that I tied one last night and threw it up on Instagram and Facebook, just to be like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I was like, even in time lapse, I was like, I tied that in like 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to slow this way down.
You did that whole thing in 10 minutes?
Maybe 15.
Oh, yeah, because it's
Yeah, so you
memory time.
Yeah.
Now I have those balloon ones. How do you use them? What are those?
Yeah,
Those
so
are the ones that.
same thing. You just take this and clip it on. So I was using something really similar. It's just more compact. Just clip it on.
You got something like that?
And then spin it.
And they just,
Yeah. I brought extras in case somebody didn't have a way to turn
You
it.
just spin that and then it
I was using this.
and like you said, the dummy.
It works.
That looks like, maybe that ought to be the way out of YouTube dummy.
Yeah, and you can actually take a dummy and the feather and the palmer shield and spin all that.
Oh.
There's so many possibilities.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because that dummy is like,
I'll look on your page like this.
I like yours. Yours, you know.
How does it foul a lot? It seemed like it would. I have some articulated ones. I foul it a lot.
I mean, mine, I tied my articulation pretty tight. It's going to be hard pressed to foul. Like, you're going to have to do,
Like
you're
the
probably
one I
going to
have,
end up with a wind
the
knot.
ones I gave you. Yeah, I was fishing. You know what though? I told you. I caught a 12-inch. White
It was fun. I had a blast.
Boarville.
Great job, man.
Thank you. Every time I teach a fly, the first like 2 steps, I'm like,
Now,
I gotta
they weren't here last night. We need a new guard.
gotta stop.
I love teaching fly tying.
I do too. I like it more than teaching casting.
Oh, me too. I'm a certified instructor, but I don't, once I did that, I was like, do this, do that, no.
Thanks for doing that tonight.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you came out. I had a great time. It was nice to meet everybody and get to see this club.
Appreciate this is coming all the way up from Prairieville, right?
I actually came from Husser, just north of Hammond today.
Oh, wow.
3 hours and 15 minutes.
And you got to drive back on it?
I drive back to Prairieville. It's about an hour and 45, hour and 50 minutes. But I drive an hour and 20 minutes every day for work, and back. So it's and I'm so crazy. I drive all over the place for fishing. I did like 11 hours last week, or 3 weeks ago. I'm sorry, from the South Holston River back home in a day, and I did up there in a day. Call it you. I'm addicted to fishing as well.
Okay. I got probably a stupid question.
I don't think you have a stupid question.
How do you use that damn thing?
This thing?
Yeah. What's this? Because my stepson got me one.
Yeah. So I was just taking.
And I can't find anything on the internet about it.
It's to prep feathers.
Here's some.
They need to marabou feathers.
I just need 8 feathers.
Gentlemen later.
Hey, if you get questions.
Appreciate it. Thank you for driving now.
I communicate.
So, I like to use the stick feather in there and just, when you're sealing paint, then it'll blow out the way. Work it down in there and everything. So like we're doing that here, you gotta look at this one, you just grab that section and work with it. I just use it as a way to keep my materials.
Not basically.
Yeah.
Blowing all over the place.
You can do it that way, or you can stem it this way. I think it was designed to do this. I don't really stick them vertical, and like, if I was tying a bunch of these, I'd have to seal off the first four. It's just, it's a way for me to get.
I tried to figure out ways of pushing. I'm just like, man, I think
That's what I use it.